Okay, I got ready. I came back and laid in bed because it was just so cozy. I made myself coffee this time. I'm debating whether I'm going to the gym or not. Going to the CrossFit or I'm going to go on a run. Regardless, I'm going to go do something physical. But I wanted to talk about, continue on from my last video, about different things that I learned from having my arm be broken, right? Because it's so easy to perceive that being like, oh my gosh, like, dude, there's nothing good that happened from that. That was just like an oopsies, a cosmic oopsies that led you on this huge trajectory. Because after that, actually, what occurred is I got addicted to opiates because at that time, when was that? I think this was before legislation. No, this was before the opiate crisis was still like full blown. This happened in 2013. Because I remember when I left the ER, they prescribed me, I don't know how many, a pretty decent chunk because they weren't sure when I was going to be able to get surgery. So they prescribed me a pretty good amount of whatever pain med that opiates were in it. And it was a high hitting amount of oxycodone that was in the combination, I believe, from what I remember. But after the surgery, right, I was having trouble with my pain tolerance, getting that under control. And so it was normal back in those days to prescribe like 50, 100, whatever, narcotics. I remember for my Achilles, when my Achilles got ruptured, this happened after my arm got broken. Like a year later, I tore my Achilles. So it took like 6 months to heal this. And then after this got healed, I tear my Achilles. So after that surgery, I remember the orthopedic surgeon, again, this was normal at the time. This was normal practice, but this just shows what occurs. I got prescribed 99 tabs of a narcotic and 99 tabs of a benzodiazepine to help with the muscle twitches and stuff like that. That just shows, and this was in 2014, right? This was not that long ago that was normal in medicine because we weren't aware of the full depths of how we're actually treating pain and how we help our patients, okay? So I had the fortunate blessing, too, of getting addicted to narcotics. Oh, guys, that was a phenomenal experience. Very, very challenging to navigate, especially when I was in dental school and going through all these things. Like, I remember playing catch up. I remember when my arm was still broken, I tried to do a lab practical because I had to wait like 3 days for my arm to get the surgery. So I was like, I remember I had to sleep sitting up like this because anytime I moved, my arm would hurt. Like, I remember when I fall asleep and I accidentally twitch and the pain from the ends of the bone rubbing, because you could feel every time the bone rubbed. Ugh. That's why whenever someone has like anything dealing with like bone pain, I understand what it feels like. It just feels like thousands of sharp little razor blades just rubbing each other, just grinding on each other, wincing, just making fragments inside your body. Oh, it hurts bad. Bone pain hurts bad. Anyways, I got like, this whole thing happened. During this process, I got addicted to narcotics, pharmacological agents, so I had to get over that myself. I remember one day, and it happened after my Achilles, because after my arm broke, that's when I really got invoked to a state of dependency on the pain medication. And it got so bad one time. I remember because this was when I was unaware. I was very naive to it. The first night I was getting driven back from the ER. I remember falling asleep and I'd be texting and I'd wake up gasping for air. And I'm like, whoa, what just happened? And I didn't realize I was going into bouts of respiratory depression. And this was just from taking it as prescribed. I was so naive to drugs at that point. Like, my system had never had narcotics before, besides like my wisdom teeth removal, which even then, I think I didn't even utilize them. Because I remember the first time I took it, I threw up that first night. And so I didn't want to use it. And so I just used the ibuprofen and Tylenol they gave me. But I used it like clockwork. And I was in no pain the entire time I had my wisdom teeth out. So anyways, when the ER gave me whatever prescription they gave me, I remember it was a pretty high dosage. It was like, I think it was like a 15 of whatever the narcotic amount was, 15 and 325. Because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think 15 and 325 because I think at that point, I think I think the government by that point had regulated that they at least cut off acetaminophen in those narcotic containing molecules or compounds to 325, because they were starting to see a lot of people get liver toxicity and like issues with that due to consuming too much acetaminophen Tylenol. Anyways, going through that remembering that and realizing, because I was in dental school and we were just getting to the chapters where we were talking about pain management and pharmacology. And so I wasn't fully aware that what I was experiencing was respiratory failure, like bouts of respiratory depression where I was waking up gasping for air and I'm like, my hand is still typing a letter. And so to become aware that that's what was occurring to me simultaneously while I'm having my arm recovered or arm repaired, while simultaneously having to try to stay on time and stay on track in dental school. And also at the same time, I was still trying to figure out like my personal dating life or like this severe level of dissonance that was going on inside me. Y'all, that was the perfect storm of, like, when I say dental school was some of my toughest years, I wish I would have journaled during that time. That was the one point in my life where I didn't journal, because I journaled all through the academy and previously, but I didn't journal in dental school. I wish I would have, because there were some hard moments in dental school that I went through. But I remember, though, after my Achilles, because I became aware that I was addicted to opiates because of how I was behaving and my behavior and how I was feeling inside, the internal dissonance I would feel when I would seek that. And I realized I would seek it because I was looking for a way to numb the internal state of dissonance I was feeling. I wanted it to slow down the movement of dissonance that I was perceiving and not necessarily address my pain anymore. I was trying to disassociate from my current reality or what I was experiencing physically, because it was very terrible for me. And being aware of that and being like, I don't want to do this anymore. Because I remember after my Achilles broke, or I tore my Achilles and repaired it, and he gave me 99 of each of those, I was just so disappointed. I was just like, I don't need this. And I realized what I was doing. I was trying to numb or escape this internal state of dissonance and despair that I was feeling. And obviously I had every right to, right? My arm breakage, that was a very traumatic thing. I remember all the faculty and staff were trying to give me extra time, and I was like, no, I don't need it. And I failed. I took practicals and stuff when my arm was still broken, because I had like a 3-day wait period between when my surgery was. I remember my orthopedic surgeon, I was like, hey, like, we can schedule this surgery. I have a test that morning, a pharmacology test. Can you schedule me for the afternoon? And he did. It was so dope of him. And I said, hey man, I appreciate that, man. So I went and took my pharmacology test, like completely like high as a kite on narcotics. And I ended up getting like in the 80s, and I was like, all right. And so, and it helped me actually. It helped me study for the test, because the things I was reading, the questions I was reading, I was like, hey, I'm experiencing this. These are some of the medications that they gave me. Like, I literally don't have to read about it. I've experienced what these things are, and it helped me remember it to a profound level. I will never forget the side effects or what it feels like, what the perceptions and the sensations and the immersions into my experiences with narcotics and that sort of pharmacologic agents and stuff. Truly unique and extraordinary what it does to the human mind and cognition, as well as the physiological responses. Super intriguing. Anyways, but all of this wouldn't have occurred, right? I wouldn't have gained this awareness to it, because I remember I had a patient later on in my career. I had patients that were addicted to narcotics and had problems with substance abuse and things like that. And I recognized, I said, this isn't about drug seeking or whatever, or shaming you. It's about you're trying to solve some internal state of dissonance that you have going on. And so because of that, I was able to talk to them and just make them more comfortable, at least ideally, hopefully make them more comfortable. I would share with them. One patient, I remember actually, for some reason, she was causing a ruckus in the office, pretty pretty disheveled, pretty nuanced with her terminology of how some of the things she was saying. She could easily have the diagnosis of some sort of mental health disorder. Okay, very, very easily could have. And I saw on her paper, though, something about being an orphan. Her address, whatever, was like an orphan. She was like, I think she was like almost borderline being kicked out of the home, the orphanage, because she was of legal age. And when I saw that on the paper, it just clicked in me about why she's behaving the way she did. Oh, I'm trying not to cry. Because it was in that moment, I was like, you've spent your entire life feeling neglected and lacking worth and value. And I sat down and I talked to her. It was just like a consult appointment. But I remember sharing with her because she was talking about it. Somehow drugs came up. And I talked to her about it, and I said, hey man, I've been addicted to drugs before. I've been addicted to painkillers. I was there, and I showed her the scar on my arm, and I talked to her about stuff, and you could tell like there was just, her demeanor changed when I demonstrated to her that I'm not above her. I was there with her, man. I understand what she's going through. I truly understand it, and I demonstrated I understood it by sharing my personal experience with her. Sharing, like, you can't get rid of the scar on my arm. Yeah. That's there, man. I have the pictures. I have the video. There's a video on YouTube that shows where my arm broke because my friend was filming it. It was in the final round. And I can't tell you how many people I have been able to completely be comfortable immersing myself around, right? My immersion with the homeless, that wouldn't have been possible unless I personally had been comfortable experiencing addiction, experiencing being misunderstood, experiencing that physical pain and suffering that everyone goes through, but no one wants to really articulate and talk about. Like, the things I've been able to do is because I broke my arm and because of the things that I've experienced. Now tell me that isn't a cool story arc. Like, look how the ripples continue to go forward because of how I'm able to articulate and explain how beautiful all these things did with me. Right? Not many people can be like, yeah, I'm thankful I broke my arm and I had 6 surgeries and I got addicted to narcotics and had to overcome all this, like, all on my own. Like, yo, it was amazing and extraordinary. Oh, especially when I decided, because when I got the 99 refills or 99 medications, there was like a couple days after I got discharged from the hospital, and I was just like, I'm done. This is not for me. And I just dumped everything. I got rid of everything. I threw it down the toilet. I know I'm not supposed to.